Earlier this year, March 3rd, 2018, the world lost a legend, Roger Bannister. Sir Roger Bannister died at the age of 88. Now, if you're a baby boomer, you most likely have heard a reference to his great feat, being the first man to run a mile in under 4 minutes. The story has often been used as an example of how the belief that somebody or something cannot be done holds people back. But once they believe that it can be done, something changes. Legend has it that it was believed that humans could not possibly run a mile in under 4 minutes. Some say that it was rumored that such a feat would require that the heart would be beat beyond its capacity and would explode inside one's chest, literally. So running that fast would likely kill you. Some even go as far as to say that the fear of it killing you was a factor in this seemingly psychological roadblock between the finishing time starting with a 3 instead of a 4. And this makes for a good story, doesn't it? And the story goes like this. Nobody believed it was possible until Roger Bannister did it in 1954. And then within 3 months of him doing it, the feat was replicated by other runners numerous times. The logic of the story is that once other runners could see that it was possible, then it became possible for them too. It also makes for a good reference to Roger being able to see himself breaking the barrier. Now, some quote Roger as saying he would envision the finishing clock reading 3:59:59 as he crossed the line. The story sets up nicely for quotes like, "You don't have to see it to believe it. You rather have to believe it to see it." Now that all makes for a great narrative and a warm, fuzzy feeling inside that leads the listener to believe that, at least for a moment, each one of us has inside of us the same potential to believe things before we actually see them. But hold the presses. The real story is that the progression of world records in the men's mile from 1910 to 2000 is a rather linear progression. You're never going to convince me that statisticians of the day believed that this kind of linear progression was likely to turn and go completely horizontal at the 4-minute mark. Even a rather dumb statistician would still reason that the progression would time out only after a curve to the horizontal, which would have to cross the 4-minute minute mark at some point. And based on the data, it would be absurd to think it would just magically stop at 4 minutes. And as far as the heart being an exploding factor, well, seriously, Roger was a doctor. Why would he have put himself in that spot? I believe that the truth about what happened is a bit different. I believe that Roger was simply trying to be the best at doing something, running the mile. And I believe that Roger believed that if he worked a little harder than all the previous milers and dug just a little deeper, he could eke out that 1.5 more seconds off the clock, which would put him at 3:59:59, 1.5 seconds faster than the previous world record of 4 minutes, 1 second, and 4/10, set in 1945 by Gunder Haag of Sweden. That's it. 1.5 seconds. Shorter than what it took me to type the words 1.5 seconds. And as for opening the floodgates, that isn't true either. Only one other runner, John Laddie from Australia, broke Bannister's record in 1954 at 3 minutes 58 seconds, and that record stood until 1957. Now, sure, there were other runners who broke 4 minutes and did not break the world record in this time frame, but that does not prove the point that this new belief that it could be done broke open the floodgates. The linear progression really tells the whole story. So what is my point here? Seeing that something can be done has very little bearing on someone else believing that they too can do it. Believing that one can do it is not really affected by seeing someone else do it. You see, I can see someone else lose weight and get in shape, and that has very little bearing on whether or not I believe that I can actually do it. And until I believe that I can actually do it, It's not likely to happen. So did Roger Bannister believe that he could break the 4-minute mile that day? I don't know. He's not here for me to ask. But I don't think he had to believe that. All he had to believe is that with extra effort, determination, and desire, and willingness, he could take a 1.5 second deficit, which is 0.0006% faster than the previous fastest time. That is believable. It's not always easy to believe that we can achieve our loftiest goals, but it sure as heck is a lot easier to believe that if we work hard at something, we can do it a tiny fraction of a second or a percent of a second better than we did it previously. And if I'm willing to work hard enough at it for long enough, I can eventually do it a fraction of a percent better than anybody else who has ever tried to do it has done it. So that's it. To be the greatest in the world at anything only takes the willingness to work hard enough at it and long enough to do it only the tiniest fraction of a percent better than anyone else. And I believe I can do that with my whole heart. That, my friends, is putting things into perspective.